I love that. Awesome. Well, welcome in, everybody. Day 52. We have a jam-packed, exciting day for you again today. So we had several of you joined me and Michelle for dinner last night. So it was nice to see some of my locals. Nice to see all of your smiling faces on here. Good to see you, Oliver. Oliver's showing his face in his first few weeks of here on Earth. So, hello, Oliver. So, welcome to all of you. Today is going to be a fun day. Today is a special day. We have a very special, I would say guest, but he's not really a guest. We have a very special person we're going to hear from. Before we do that, though, I want to point out there's really this game, day 52 of 60. Again, I cannot believe time is flying like it is. I want for all of you, though, to see the simplicity of this business. And it really is about getting leads, asking questions, buying houses, getting leads, asking questions, selling houses. During our next 8 days together, I'm going to be talking some more about selling houses. I'm going to be talking to you more about dispo, how to make sure that you are getting tip-top dollar for your houses and how to turn them to cash flow, how to be a creative transaction genius. So how many of you could use an extra 10 or 20K in your life in the next 30 days? All right. Type yes in the chat. Get those fingers working. Let the fingers do the walking. Ain't that an ad from back in the day? Something like that. All right, welcome. Come on in. So today is going to be a lot of fun. We got lots of yeses. What's your energy level? 1 out of 10. Show us some energy. What's your energy level? 1 out of 10. 10 being high, tippy top. 1 being a tough day. Nothing wrong with a tough day, although we prefer the good ones. All right, this is good. If you're taking notes, write this down. My life, smart aleck. Ahmed's over there typing a 1 in. I
No,
know good well that ain't true because we've
my
had other conversations today.
my hand didn't type the 0. I typed so fast I skipped the 0. It was 1
I
0.
love it. So for all of you, write this down. My life in 5 years. My life in 5 years. I want for you to be thinking in time. I want you to be thinking of this business because as the ups and downs happen, there's going to be days where you contract a deal with 100K equity. There's going to be days where a contract falls out and don't go through. There's going to be days where somebody brings you a big, beautiful, non-refundable deposit. There's going to be some days where the buyer was supposed to meet you and they don't show up. And if you ride into those moments every single time, this business is going to suck. Right? I remember driving over to Evansville, meeting at the office, waiting, praying they show up, hoping they was just running late, knowing good and well they hadn't answered my phone call the last 4 hours. They was probably avoiding me. They probably wasn't going to show up, but hoping against hope and showing up just in case. But I had the emotional roller coaster, right? I needed this 10K. I needed this 20K. You can look at this business as the thing that you are building to sustain you, to dump you an extra 5, 10, 15, 20, your freedom number every single month. And you're going to be able to ride the wave a lot better when you have a win, when you get the big check. Yeah, take the family, the staff, whoever, the partner out to dinner. Enjoy it. And then the next morning, get back to work at it. If you are having a tough day and the buyer calls and they fall through, the seller calls and they fall through, and the title company calls and there's a lien on the property and whatever else has happened, right? Be okay with that. Know that that's just the up and down of this business. But over the next 5 years, I will have built something that is providing me the life of my dreams. All right. When we can start looking in things in that way as to what it returns me, not what it costs me, that's the whole point of us hanging out here together, is to shift our mindsets to begin to use the tools that we've been given, the God-given gifts, to use them to create high-income skills and build the business that supports our mission and our purpose. All right? So I'm going to roll back the curtain today on another segment of Leo's in My Business. And I'm going to introduce you. Many of you already know him. but I'm going to be talking with Ahmed Afifi, my great friend, and someone who started out as a student a few years ago and come to the training, come to the mentorship, was killing it in his business and says, "Hey, I would like to be a part of your team." And I said, "Well, crap, you don't need me." He said, "But I want you." And so here we are. And Ahmed, take us back. First off, when did we meet?
it was right before, well, a little bit before COVID. Because I remember yeah, it was before COVID, just before COVID. Because I was getting right out of the training classes, and then COVID hit, and then I had all these stupid ideas in my mind that I can't buy houses now because I can't go to their house, and then we kind of fixed that problem. I think it was just before COVID. Can you hear
So,
me?
yeah. So we
Okay, good.
met right before COVID. So what is that, 4 or 5 years ago? And where did we first meet?
That's when we started working together. The very first time we met was a few years before that at a local RIA meeting.
Mm. And you reached out to me. You was
Yes.
a police officer at the time,
Yep.
and you reached out to me. And how did that go? How did we first connect?
We went to Starbucks, and I guess you said you're gonna roll back the curtain, so we're gonna go a little deeper here. We went to Starbucks, and we were talking about buying houses. And I remember you buying tea, and I was like, I like this guy because I like tea. I'm not big of a coffee guy. And we started talking about mentorship. And honest to God, this is exactly what happened. Andrew told me about mentorship, and I'm not saying this because I don't want you to take it from a different perspective. This is just my experience. This is my story, and I wish for you to have a different story and look at it from a different perspective. This is what happened to me. I went with Andrew to the Starbucks. One, I hate Starbucks, but I loved Andrew. We sat down. He told me about the mentorship. I smiled and giggled. I was like, "Yeah, that sounds cool." I left Starbucks, got in my car, and the first thing that came to my mind was that boy is outside his damn mind. There's not a chance in freaking hell that I'm going to give him any of that kind of money to learn how to buy some houses. Fuck it. Excuse my language. I'll do it on my own. That's
I was going
exactly
to
what
say, I think this version is more PG than what you said to yourself in the cop car. I can guarantee you that.
it is more PG, but I got to keep it clean on here.
So, so you have this conversation with yourself about this young dude that's out his mind, and you go home. What happens? What happened from there?
So I'm going to take a few minutes here because I want to share a couple things with you guys. You were talking
Please.
about mindset earlier, and it reminded me of something that happened between us. I'll come back to that here in just a minute. The first thing that happened to me after I left that Starbucks is when I started telling about you about how crazy you are, and I left. And I started thinking after that, a few days went by and a couple weeks went by, and I started thinking to myself, damn, I'm the crazy one because I had a good career. I had a great family, beautiful wife, great kids, but I was not where I wanted to be in life. And I knew at that point in time, I was like gun ho with Jim Rohn and all the personal growth stuff on YouTube. I knew that I kept doing what I was doing. I was going to keep getting what I was getting. And I freaking hated that. And at some point, I started telling myself, I'm the crazy one. It's not Andrew. And that's when things started switching a little bit. Now, I'm not, yeah, let's just keep that extra part. The next part is going to stay personal. I'm not going to say what's going to happen next, but that's where we got to. And then I reached out to you again, and the rest is history. The second part I wanted to share, and I say that because you were just talking about mindset and growing. I will tell you the first few months, maybe a year, 6 months to a year, when I was doing it on my own before the mentorship story, I was telling myself, man, if I just get a couple houses a year, I'll be great. I can probably do this for 10, then retire, have 20 houses. I got my pension. Everything will be great. I'm cool with that. If I can just get 2 houses a year. And that was my mindset. I was hung up on if I can just convince two freaking people to give me 2 houses a year on terms, boy, I'm going to be solid. And then I got with you and Leo, and I don't know what the hell you did to me. And please don't think that I'm bragging, but I tell you, this got flipped over, and my personal best right now is 3 terms deal in one day. And that's not bragging. I'm telling you, it's whatever the hell you put in this head is what's going to happen to you.
That's powerful. And my best is 5 in a day. So not that we're
I'm coming
having a
after you.
competition, but
I am coming after you.
I'm messing with you. It was more than that. But in all seriousness, for, for all of you listening, I share that, and I love to have fun. And that's something, by the way, with your team. I don't really consider what we do work. Every time I get a phone call from any of my business partners, anytime Leo and I have a chat, my phone rings, I'm smiling, I'm happy, right? Anytime Paul's calling me, anytime Ahmed's our team, I love connecting because it's not really even work to me. It's just fun. And that's what I want for you is to be able to create the life of your dreams, the business to support your dream life. And so having that shift, Ahmed, before we get into kind of the nitty gritty of behind the scenes of us working together, where did that shift or what has happened with that shift taking place from praying you could get 2 a year to getting 3 freaking deals in one day?
The thing that would matter the most for the folks on the Zoom, because everybody's going to experience this differently. Whatever's happening in your life, things will change for you and you're going to look at things differently. But when you and Leo started talking about working, starting with the end in mind, what am I looking to complete? What am I looking to accomplish? And working our way back and breaking the numbers down. And then we came to realize that if my objective was 34 houses at 300 a piece, which will give me 100 grand a month, 100 grand a year, which is the freedom number of 10,000 a month. And we start breaking it down back and forward to the closing call ratio, to how many numbers of calls I need to make. You start thinking to yourself, I was like, crap, I don't need to do 100 calls a day to get 2 houses a year. If I do 20, I'll get 3 or 4 a month. And all of a sudden you start realizing and start believing in yourself that I don't need to think about only getting 2 houses a year. All I need to do is work my numbers, and it doesn't take all that much freaking time. I just need to work my numbers. And then if I keep working my numbers, I'll get to where I need to go. And it was just that simple. Obviously, there is the added portion of believing in the fact that you can do it, because that's always going to be a messy, screwy thing in your head. If you keep telling yourself, I can't do it, and I can't do it, and you keep making phone calls, I assure you, nobody's going to give you a house. If you keep telling yourself that you suck, and nobody's going to give you a house and money, and nobody's going to tell you the terms, nobody's going to give you the down payment, and nobody's going to give you all that kind of stuff, no matter how many calls you make, it's going to be rough. But if you keep telling yourself the opposite, boy, that next call is going to be awesome. It's going to be a no money down, a home run. I'm going to call Andrew, I'm going to brag, and he's going to buy me another gift. Whatever the hell is it you're going to keep telling yourself. If you keep telling yourself those things, you are going to have those things happen to you. Because I became 100% personal belief after getting hooked up with you and Leo that what you keep telling yourself is the crap is it's going to keep happening to you.
That's so powerful. Write down these letters, MIDAS, most important daily action steps. I think it's important for all of us as we're doing this, and I think my videographer's downstairs, so I might have to go meet him. The thing I want to point out to all of you is that it's simpler than we think. Imagine that you're, I don't know, going to the gym. All right. This is me almost 3 years ago now. Imagine I went to the gym. I got on the treadmill. I ran for 10 seconds and I got off the treadmill. I went in the bathroom. I looked at the mirror and I said, darn it, I don't have a 6-pack yet. This does not work. Right? That's not how it works. We know that's not how it works. It's consistency. Imagine you go to pump the weight and you look and you go, crap, I'm still the same size I was 30 seconds ago. I think it's important to look at doing calls that way. It is literally just getting your reps in. And like Ahmed has said, money is math. You're just dialing the people. You're just making the calls. So for anybody doing these calls who's not yet experienced results of buying or selling a house, or maybe has experienced mild results but feel jammed up, what would you say to them, Ahmed?
Somebody who doesn't have Reframe that question for me. Uh-oh, he left me. All right, so Paul, rephrase that question for me. He might have to go pee.
Well, forgive me. I was just on a call there with one of our students. But what I commend about you, Ahmed, is your phenomenal ability to just shift your mindset. You know, I know you spoke about Jim Rohn there, and something Ahmed shared some time ago with me, and it really just blew my mind. And I would encourage you to go check it out. There's a video by Jim Rohn, and it's called "The Set of the Sail." And Ahmed just spoke about how much that video impacted him. And I think it's only 3 to 5 minutes, if I'm correct, Ahmed. I would encourage everybody to go check it out. And
Three
what it,
minutes and 26 seconds, brother. That's how long the video is. And somebody help a brother out and write that question in the chat again. Brother, hey, Andrew's back. Thanks, Paul.
I'm back.
But
Tommy, you can come in.
seriously, though,
So the
Set of the Sail, you got to check it out. It talks about a 2 year window and what you can do in 2 years, whether you're 61 or between 61 and 63 or 15 and 17. Go check that video out. It'll blow your mind.
All
so
right,
the thank you for that. Something I love about Paul, by the way, Paul's always sharing like these cool insights, right? These cool videos and trainings and education, and I love that. Ahmed, the question I was asking you was, what would you say to someone who's feeling jammed up, either trying to get their first deal or struggling to get their next deal?
okay, so I'm gonna take this. I'm glad you said that question again because it inspired me to tell you a different story, and I'll tell you what to do if you're jammed up. Actually, there's a couple ways we can hit this. Let me see what's more beneficial for you. All right, so let's say I'm gonna pick on somebody here that I love, so you don't get mad at me. Amanda, I'll pick on Amanda for a second. Let's say me and Amanda are in a competition to go out and see who gets the most houses in the next 2 weeks. Just a rough example. And let's say Amanda's really good, and I'm the guy that's jammed up. I'm really jammed up. Amanda's great. Cool. So here's the thing. I want you to think about this really, really, really carefully and put this seed in the back of your head. If Amanda's really good and I am terrible, I am going to beat her. And I'll tell you why. Amanda talks to 2 good quality leads and gets 2 deals. Cool. I am terrible. I talk to 20 people and I get 1 deal. No problem. She talks to 2 and get 2. I talk to 60 and I get 3. That's it. I'll still beat you. Well, because I like to win and I want you to lose. It's that simple. And that is the only thing you have to worry about. It is just numbers. It is just numbers. You might be having to call 50 people right now to get a deal. Who cares? Call 50. Next week, it's going to be 48. 3 months from now, it's going to jump down to 15. When you get to 10 to 7, your money is going to be rolling 7 ways from Sunday. But you've got to put the reps in. You got to make the calls. You got to be consistent, and you got to clean those 6 inches between your head, because if any of those elements are missing, you're going to keep banging your head on the desk, making 50 calls a day and getting 1 deal. And nobody wants to be there. Nobody wants to be there. Put in the reps, clean up your head, and just keep making the phone calls. And obviously, go to Andrew and Leo. They'll fix you. Was that good enough? Does
So,
that
Ahmed, that does. I have to ask you. So you was already doing deals. You had come through the mentorship. We're succeeding. What caused you to come to me one day and say, "Can I join your team and help you grow in some way?"
Sweet. So when you say I was doing deals, let me tell you what my story is with my first deal. I bought a list of 1,000 people that were out-of-state owners for rental properties in my local town. And out of that 1,000, I called the entire 1,000, and I was so terrible, I got 1 deal. So that was,
And you got a deal.
I got a deal, but that wasn't going to cut it. But so there's a couple of angles to this. I wanted to be around people who are where I wanted to go. That's one for sure. The second thing is, I've always been a believer that horses run with horses. And you, my friend, were a freaking stallion. I just wanted to be on that same track that you're on. And whatever it took, it doesn't matter. And I knew at that point that you had a problem with your back infrastructure, your automations with Pat Live and the leads coming in. I was like, crap, if I can fix that, I'm in. So I called Michelle and I stole some information from the backside, fixed that problem, called you. I remember that day I was sitting in my car in the parking lot. You were in the Zoom. We were on a Zoom. You were walking around in the parking lot, and I can see your face walking around with your sunglasses. And I told you I fixed the problem. Now the lead comes to you in 10 minutes. You're like, oh my God. And you started jumping up and down in the parking lot. I was like, yeah, baby, I'm in. That was it. But
That's
you were on that track. You were where I wanted to be. You were the kind of person I wanted to become. And it just makes sense because there's no need to do this as business by yourself. There's absolutely no need.
that's powerful. And I think that goes to show the whole point of leading with value. There's abundance. Somebody type it in the chat, abundance. Abundance means more than enough. And I commend all of you for being here. You know, there's somebody come to me the other day and said to me, Andrew, you're doing these live Zooms. You have people from Louisville joining them. I said, yes. He said, well, aren't you afraid that you're going to be creating so much competition in Louisville? I said, no, I'm not worried about it because I live in abundance. All of you can do a bunch of deals. It's not going to affect me. Actually, it's going to probably lift me up, right? Because we're all going to be doing deals together. And that's what I want for you guys to really step into as we're walking in abundance. And that's what our whole community does. That's what Freedom Life is about. In fact, most of this morning was spent having one-on-one conversations with several Freedom Life members who was needing help getting some breakthroughs. And we was having those together. And I think the important note for all of you is when you're in the right places, around the right people, there is 3 alignments, and you can write these down. Number 1 is opportunity meets preparation at proper timing. You could have been the best sub-2 buyer in 1985 or whatever the heck year before I was born. You probably would not have been taking over 3% loans, right? That wasn't a thing. So you could have had preparation, but the opportunity was perhaps lacking, or you had to use a different opportunity, and the timing was off. When those 3 things, Matt, you can make a win with any 2 of them, right? You have opportunity and you have preparation, you're going to figure out how to make money, right? But if you can take the same amount, write this down, diminishing returns. If you can put out the same amount of effort, like Ahmed was just talking, calling 5 sellers instead of 50 sellers to get the same result, I'm going to be calling the 5 all day. That's my objective. How do we put out the least amount of results for the most amount of effort? So as you're stepping into these proper circles, the right places, you say, okay, I'm on these Zooms. I'm hanging out with Andrew and Leo at the real estate event in August. I am doing these things to be prepared, getting the right knowledge. I have preparation. Inflation's going nuts. The market is in an interesting place that it's never been before. That is opportunity, right? Now you look at rising interest rates, except there's still hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of loans out there that are low interest. That is timing. Right now, we have the perfect mixture. We have the perfect mixture of opportunity and of timing. And I commend the 91 of you for adding in that 3rd ingredient, which is preparation, for being here at the right place at the right time. The more you saturate yourself in this environment, the more prepared you are to literally gather money out of the marketplace by adding value into the marketplace. All right. So we're going to get to some questions here in a moment. Before we get into questions, Ahmed, what has been the most exciting part about now Derek on the team, but about the whole crew working together? I just enjoy seeing your smiling face every time we hop on Zoom and close deals together, and getting extra checks when I'm out teaching, pictures of non-refundable deposits you collect, and all of these beautiful things that you add to the business. But tell us what's been the exciting part from your side.
I'll tell you, my exciting thing that happened so far since Derek came in is it is ridiculous how fast he got on the horse and how quickly his contracting amazing freaking deals. That boy is going to be a horse like no other. It's just incredible. I mean, I wish I was going as fast as he was when I first started. That is truly incredibly exciting to see that he can grow so quickly and so fast and lock in so many deals. So I mean, a few months from now, he's going to give me a run for my money. That's for sure.
I love that. I think that is back to the abundance thing, because once you realize you can take my last decade of work and pile it on with Ahmed, and he grows way more rapidly. And then you take Ahmed's last however many years we've worked together, and you compile both of those on now with Derek teaming up with us. And you just begin to see the momentum building and realize that there is literally more than enough to go around, guys. I can't stress that enough. The opportunity is tremendous. So don't get focused on, crap, this ain't working for me. Ask yourself, what are the people around me doing that's working? And how do I get around them to do more of what they're doing? That's the key.
There's one thing.
All right, let's get
real quick on that there.
Please.
Real quick. It took me a while to learn this, but once I did it, it got a lot of things easier for me, especially with your calls or the lead qualities or the Facebook marketplace or the terms deal or whether or not they're giving you information about the down payment or the PITI. If you're having challenges with any of the steps from the beginning to end until you get the check, always remember this. If you think the problem is out there, that in itself the problem, because I promise you, almost anybody can be closed by somebody, but not anybody can be closed by anybody. So if you wrap your mind around
Say that one more time, Ahmed. That was good. Say that again.
Almost anybody can be closed by somebody, but not anybody can be closed by anybody. So if you scale that in your head, the math is if you're having trouble closing people, it's the person doing the close, which is you. It's never the lead. It's never the seller. Always look at the problem back internally. And if you focus on that principle, instead of growing 5x in 6 months, you're going to grow 50x in 6 months because you absolutely 100% have the solution to all the steps from the lead to the check. Just you, nobody else. By surrounding yourself by the right people, by fixing your mindsets, by fixing your phone calls, by fixing your scripts, by rehearsing your scripts, by having somebody review them and look back at them again and give you some tips, all those elements that get you from front to back, you are 150% in control. Nobody else outside of that is in control. And that's the most beautiful thing I love about it. If I want to get 10 houses next month, I guarantee you I'm in control. If I only get one, that's because it was me. I'm in control. If you haven't started to get, you don't even have your first deal yet. Today is what, Thursday or Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Today is Wednesday. I promise you, with everything I got, the person who has not had their first deal yet, you can get your first deal by the weekend. If you just control those yourself and know that everything is in my powers, I can fix X, Y, and Z and do A, B, and C with those activities and get my first deal by the weekend. Anything else, you're just making up crap in your head. You just are. And that's why I went from 2 deals a year to 3 in a day. That wasn't magical. I don't know what happened. I just switched my mindset and realized that all the crap that I was doing wrong is because I needed to fix it. And once I fixed it, everything changed. Who fixes
That's
those
powerful.
things? You do.
That's the beautiful thing about human beings. We get to make our choice. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all of that, Ahmed. Let's see what kind of questions you and I have rolling in for us today before we hop over on our VIP calls for all of our ticket holders, Boss Flows, and Freedom Life, where we're calling leads.
All right. First question before we hop over to VIP is from Eddie. He says, what is an assignment fee? When is an assignment fee too high, ethically speaking? For example, 80 or 100,000. Shouldn't some go back to the homeowner?
I love that question. So first off, that is actually one of the very first huge struggles I had in this business was I wanted to ensure that I always treat people like I want to be treated. Now I'm going to give you 3 quick notes on this because, guys, this is very important to note. Number one, how much is too much is totally relative, and I'm going to explain why. In the town I grew up in, if you take a $10,000 assignment fee, people would think that was astronomically unfair, unbelievable. No one deserves 10 grand for putting a deal together. And so coming from that mindset, right, and valuing it based on my time, that was one value, right? Secondly, I realized that it comes down to treating everybody like I want to be treated. Went to buy a house in 2016, and it was probably a $130,000 house. It needed about 40K in rehab. And I asked her what the least she would take. She said 25K, and she wanted to close within 30 days. Come to find out, she only had weeks left to live, and she needed that 25K immediately. By us providing that to her, well, I know I could have got it cheaper. It left us room to make a good profit, and it gave her what she needed. So she was delighted to pay for speed because the 25 grand would change her life. And I realized that if I hadn't bought it for 25 cash, that someone else may have come and jerked her around. She didn't have time to be jerked around. She had to get her money. She needed it now. And so there is the value of speed. And then thirdly, it comes down to treating everybody like I want to be treated. The part of this business, and I don't mean to be negative, so I'm going to just be transparent, is if somebody decides at some point to come back and sue you, if there's an insurance claim, if there's an attorney fee, if there's closing costs, if there's some bull crap that was missed, I mean, no seller ever coming back and writing you a check, or at least they never have for me. And so this is the cost of business and going, okay, how do I ensure that my business is running properly? Now, if I can look over the life of the deal, and I want to view this as a case of, hey, I just want to be generous and give money to this person because I feel like that's a kind thing to do, then I'm absolutely okay with that. And at the risk of sounding harsh, because again, I'm very passionate about this because I lost several $1,000,000 before I learned this lesson. And I didn't have it to lose. I nearly went bankrupt. The challenge was that I was always pre-framing everything to be wins for everyone except me. And the moment I was able to shift that, I no longer live under the pretense that giving a seller a check back is somehow business. If it is kindness and generosity, it is that, right? I give hundreds of thousands of charity. I've been blessed to do that. Leo and I do. But it's only because we make good business deals. So make the best business deal you can, stay in control. And then at the end of the day, if things go extremely well and you want to be generous back to a seller, a buyer, anybody else in your life, you have that ability to do that. Awesome question. What else do we have?
All right, from Andrew Kuntz. That just to clarify, you were wondering what the phrase of that question was. Andrew had mentioned the least. He's really referencing the Pareto principle, 80-20, around the least amount of effort for the maximum amount of results. So thank you, Andrew, for your question there. Great share by Judy. She says, I was clearing some things from 20 years ago. I found a dream sheet and everything is done on it. I was dreaming way too small. Love that, guys. So definitely write down your dreams. Delsa asks, can somebody complete the sentence that Andrew said? Opportunity meets preparation, blank.
Opportunity meets preparation meets proper timing.
Yeah, let me add something to that real quick. Back in the police department, we used to have a saying. Some of you folks it might resonate with some of you folks. You don't rise to the occasion, you sink to your level of training. And what that means is when the shit hits the fan, you don't all of a sudden become really great and take care of it. You're going to perform to the level of the training you had before the shit hit the fan. And what that means is if you practice your calls and rehearse them and practice where you get the leads and your preparations and your opening scripts and your PI sheets and all that kind of stuff, the minute you get a real seller on the phone who's willing to accept terms, you are prepared and ready to take the call, and that opportunity will come to you. You're not going to all of a sudden be great and be an awesome person on the phone and get the deal. You're going to sink to your level of preparations or level of training in that example. That's it.
That's powerful. Thank you for that.
All right, Tim asks, I know RELU stands for Real Estate Level Up, BOFSLO for Buy and Owner Finance, Sell and Lease Option. What does TRUCA stand for? And just a note on that, Tim, TRUCA is from a tribe in northeastern Brazil by the São Francisco River. And these guys have really exemplified all down through the centuries, resilience, community, and their cultural heritage. And if you've been in our world for any amount of time, you know, resilience, community, and building a strong culture is really the heartbeat of everything that we do. Any comments on that, Andrew?
Truca means Andrew and Leo and a brilliant team surrounding them. That was a perfect answer, Paul. Thank you.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have for today, and we are a little over time. We do got to jump over for our VIPs. If you are a former Cash Flow to Freedom or Cash Flow to Freedom grandfather, then definitely jump over as well. You're welcome to join us, as is our ticket holders, Bob Slow and Freedom Life as well.
Thank you
All
guys
right.
for being kind. I'm excited to see you at the live event. Please come over and give me a hug because I love hugs. And even if you're a guy, that's fine too. I'm all good with it. But really excited.
Give Ahmed a virtual hand. Thank you for being with us today, brother. We're
Thank
gonna
you
have
so much,
fun.
guys.
I'll see many of you on the VIP. The rest of you I'll see tomorrow, same place, same time. We have a jam-packed 7 days remaining, guys.